When I was a kid, my family used to visit my grandparents' cabin in the woods every summer. It was an old, creaky place surrounded by towering pines, and at night, the forest seemed to come alive with whispers and shadows. I loved it there, but there was one rule we were never allowed to break. Never go into the shed at the edge of the property. My grandfather had built the shed decades ago, and it was always locked. He never explained why, but the way he said it, his voice low and serious, made it clear it wasn't up for discussion. Of course, being a curious 10-year-old, that only made me want to know what was inside even more. One summer night, after everyone had gone to bed, I decided to sneak out and finally see what was in that shed. The moon was full, casting an eerie glow over the yard, and the crickets were so loud it felt like they were trying to warn me. I tiptoed across the grass, my heart pounding, until I reached the shed. The padlock was rusted, but when I tugged on it, it clicked open like it had been waiting for me. The door creaked as I pushed it open, and the smell hit me first, damp wood and something metallic, like old coins. I pulled out my flashlight and shined it inside. The shed was filled with tools, dusty boxes, and stacks of old newspapers. But in the corner, something caught my eye. A large wooden crate with strange symbols carved into it. My stomach dropped as I stepped closer. The symbols looked like they'd been scratched into the wood with a knife, and the air around the crate felt colder, like it was sucking the warmth out of the room. I don't know what came over me, but I reached out and touched the crate. The moment my fingers brushed the wood, I heard it, a low, guttural growl coming from inside. I froze, my breath caught in my throat. The growl turned into a whisper, faint but clear, saying my name. I dropped the flashlight and stumbled back, tripping over a stack of boxes. The shed door slammed shut behind me, plunging me into darkness. I scrambled to my feet, fumbling for the door, but it wouldn't budge. The whispers grew louder, overlapping, until it sounded like a dozen voices were screaming in my ears. I covered my face, trying to block it out, when suddenly the door flew open on its own. I didn't look back. I just ran faster than I ever had before, until I reached the safety of the cabin. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my grandfather yelling. I followed the noise to the shed where he was standing in the doorway, staring at the crate. The symbols were gone and the lid was slightly open. He turned to me, his face pale, and said, "You didn't open it, did you?" I shook my head, too scared to tell the truth. He just nodded and locked the shed, muttering something under his breath. We never talked about it again, but I noticed something strange after that night. Whenever I was alone, I'd hear whispers, faint but unmistakable. And sometimes in the corner of my eye, I'd see shadows moving where they shouldn't be. Even now, years later, I can't shake the feeling that whatever was in that crate is still with me, waiting for the right moment to finish what it started.